record. Okay, and we'll make a prompt start because I really want to get this done within the hour, which means a gallop. So I'm probably going to go quite fast. Um, I'm going to be talking to you. Obviously, we have got Social Media Race Day coming up, and this is the second of two preparation webinars that will get us match fit, ready for the big event. I'm just going to jump straight in and start sharing the presentation that I've got to show you this evening. And I am recording, and I'm going to be putting the link to this recording. So if anything happens, if I get cut off or whatever, the thing is recorded. It's recorded to my laptop, so it'll be perfect, and I'll make sure that it gets out to all of you. If you have any questions, if you could hang on until the end, if you could put yourselves on mute if you're not speaking to me, just so that obviously I don't get the disruptive noises coming through. But if there is anything that you need to tell me, if I'm rabbiting on and you can't see what I'm showing you, whatever, just shout at me, so that and let me know that something isn't working if I'm not noticing it this end. So I am going to share my presentation. And are you seeing a slide that says webinar 2 on it? If anybody could give me a thumbs up, I'm not sure. Yep, I got a thumbs up. Excellent. Let's see if I can make that a bit tidier. No? Okay. Okay, so we're here to talk about preparation for Social Media Race Day, which is going to be on Thursday, the 27th of March. It's a live event. It runs from 9:30 in the morning with a very brief kickoff webinar. We then all go as fast as we can to produce our social media posts for the coming month. And there will be a debrief webinar for like 10 minutes at the end, and we will be finished at 3. So there is a 5-hour period of time during which, ambitiously, I hope, we will all make significant inroads in our social media posting, not to mention the fact that the quality will be better, it will be more intentional, we will be more strategic. So this seems to me, I'm very excited about this new initiative. Now, I said to you all in prep webinar 1, I know you are all perfectionists because you're interior designers and it just goes hand in hand. But really, for this exercise, we're going to get better at it every month. The point is to have a go because you'll learn by having a go. Every month you're going to get a bit better. Every month you're going to get closer to your target or indeed hit your target. So try to relax and enjoy it and try not to be so much of a perfectionist. Let's just get this thing done. Now, tonight, I've got an awful lot to get through, and it might feel, I know some of you are already very accomplished at social media. You know, you do very sophisticated things and you're already scheduling and so on. That's all cool. For some people, this is a bit like mirror signal maneuver, turn left, do an emergency stop. It's all coming at once. So it's like I've taken some skiers off the nursery slopes and I've taken you to the top of a black run and I'm going to shove you off. Now, you can't get hurt. Okay, you cannot get hurt going down this black run. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. Just have a go. So that's my message, is have a go. Now, tonight I am talking to you about Meta. So I'm talking about Instagram and Facebook. When Social Media Race Day comes, I'm also going to be doing LinkedIn. I know there are other platforms. Some people were talking about TikTok, and there's Pinterest, and there's Threads, and there's all of this other stuff. So absolutely, I'm talking about the universe of social media, but we're only in these prep webinars, I'm just looking at Meta. So we're on prep webinar 2. tonight I'm going to start with a very quick recap of webinar 1, where we left off. Then we're going to talk about planning for race day. We're going to talk about the assets that you need to have and the pre-made materials. I'm going to talk to you again about branding and B-roll video, scheduling and execution, and then race day itself. So starting with recap of webinar 1. In webinar 1, one of the key aspects we discussed was content pillars. So these are the themes that you choose to mine for the purposes of promoting your business, and you carefully select these themes to be meaningful and deeply representative of your business, of the essence of your business. And now we looked at a whole number of different possible pillars that you might choose from, but I said that in my opinion, everybody should do personal branding and everybody should do business and services. And that is because a key part of our motivation is to grow our businesses. It's to increase our commercial success. So we really need to have an eye on the business side and the strategic side of things while we're doing this. So personal branding and business and services, I recommend everybody does. Thereafter, webinar 1, I left you with a prompt that is in Hothouse. You can download it from Hothouse. It's a prompt to give to AI, to ask AI to help you define your content pillars. So if you've been practicing for years, you will know what your themes are. You will know what you care about, and you'll know what you want to talk about. You already know this. If you're relatively new, you might need some inspiration because you'll figure content pillars out by doing. So the prompt that I gave you said at the end, based on this, suggest a set of 5 content pillars that will help me establish expertise, attract perfect clients, and make social media content creation feel both strategic and enjoyable. And in webinar 1, we looked at the 5 suggestions that AI made based on that prompt that could be the content pillars based on the prompt that it was given. So that is a very good way for you to explore the themes that you might choose to speak about as you're preparing for Social Media Race Day. I also asked you to think about your level of how much you want to try to achieve in the day. And I said that really, if you're not that experienced, it's much better to just go for 1 or 2 posts a week and keep the platforms limited. But obviously for the people here who are old hands at this and who are already used to using schedulers and so on, you could go for a more ambitious quantity of material. We spoke about the need to get our Instagram profile tidy. We spoke about the types of posts that would be ideal to have pinned at the top of our grid. And we spoke about the highlights and what themes we were going to give to our highlights, because then we need to post stories that we then import into each of those highlights. So we're thinking ahead about how we want our profile to look at the end of the month based on the materials that we've been uploading as part of this monthly preparation. If you want to watch webinar 1 again, you can find it on my YouTube channel. It's there for you to watch. So now I want to start talking about the content of webinar 2. The actual planning for race day. Now, I said I was going to get horribly spreadsheety, and I'm true to my word. I have created a bit of a monster, and I want to talk you through it. So I'm going to put this spreadsheet, give me till the end of tomorrow because I want to tidy it up a little bit, but I'm going to put this spreadsheet up into Hothouse, and you'll be able to download it from the Files tab. And at the moment, I've done it in Numbers, which is the Apple software, but I'm going to do a version in Excel as well so that you can choose which one is better suited to you. Now, how this spreadsheet looks, and I'll show it to you. The cover page is the planner, the actual social media posting planner. So that is the front page of the spreadsheet. It then has tabs behind it, and the tabs are for the different content pillars. So you have your content pillar 1, content pillar 2, content pillar 3, 4, and 5. And as I previously recommended, content pillar 1 I have created is services, and content pillar 2 is personal about you. And then you have free reign over what you choose to put into content pillar 3, 4, and 5. I have used AI to do all of this, okay? And I'm be delighted to answer any questions you have about how to do that in Hothouse. I think we can take a little bit of time and really get down into the nitty-gritty of this. So this is going to be under the Files tab in Hothouse. And before I show you the actual, this is a screenshot, before I show you the actual spreadsheet, I just wanted to talk you through some of the content. So this is a screenshot of the front page, the planner bit, and you'll see that I've been presumptuous and I've presumed that we are doing 3 posts a week. So that's what I've put in, but you can change this. This is a spreadsheet that you can change. And I've suggested that we begin with content pillar 1, then content pillar 2, then content pillar 3, content pillar 4, and 5. And then we cycle back to content pillar 1. Now, you could actually muddle it up. You don't, if you think that looks too, I know some of you are much more creative than this, and this is probably a horror. If you were having just 3 content pillars, absolutely fine. When you got to content pillar 3, you would then circle back to content pillar 1. So that's pretty straightforward, I hope. I have put in the dates. These are pencil dates. I need to confirm these, but these are the dates that I'm now proposing for race day 2 and race day 3. Now you will see, so race day 1 is the 27th of March. I'm proposing race day 2 for the 17th of April and race day 3 for the 27th of May. That means that actually our second race day is going to be well within that first month period. So you could, in fact, just do a couple of weeks of content on the first race day, but just be aware that there's going to be quite a large gap between race day 2 and 3. And that's because in the period between, I'm going to embark on a wonderful journey with some fabulous interior designers all doing boot camp, and we're going to be off doing wonderful things together in boot camp, and I'm going to be fully occupied with that. So it's going to be really hard for me to run a race day between those dates. So that's why on this occasion we have that long gap. Now you will notice that I've also marked in Easter, and we've got some bank holidays, and that's because you might want to schedule in a happy Easter, or enjoy the bank holiday, even though you're writing it now at the beginning of March. And if you look at sites like Brandwatch, and I've put the link to this on the slide, online you can find helpful social media posting calendars that give you the dates of all the crazy days of the year. So, International Dog Day, or Take Your Cat to Work Day, or whatever it is. You can find these calendars, and you might actually pick a couple of these dates out and choose to build them into the content that you're producing going forward into the future. So that is the cover. That's what the cover looks like. I haven't done anything clever with it looking through the spreadsheet or whatever. It's just a basic cover. But things from webinar 1, we spoke about calls to action. Call me, book an appointment, tell me what you think. Attempts to engage with your public and to have them respond to you. So don't forget to pop in your calls to action. And I'm going to bang on about this so much more. I'm going to do a lot more about this in future. personal branding, getting your face and your persona in front of your audience. It is so important. So I would love to see some faces coming through, some voices coming through, some video coming through in what you're posting. Practice now, get really good at it. In a couple of years' time, you'll be fantastic. And it's going to separate the men from the boys. So don't forget that, because in webinar 1, we looked at marketing and we talked about the fact that what you're doing is you're throwing some baited lines out into the world. You're hoping to catch some fish. You're hoping to draw them back into your world and funnel them down by providing them with content. And some of that content will be short, and some of that content will be longer and more in depth. And you need to be strategic in making sure that you have a good variety of content to attract the people who are at different stages of your funnel and who have different levels of appetite for what you have to say. So we spoke about that in webinar 1. Okay, so this spreadsheet's going to be on the Files tab in Hothouse. I'm now going to try to stop sharing this presentation, and I'm going to show you the spreadsheet. So I'm going to stop sharing that. Sorry, I'm going to fiddle around a bit now. Bear with me. Shouldn't have done that, I think. Let's escape instead. Okay. Okay, are you now seeing the spreadsheet rolling up and down? Thank you. Okay, so this was the cover. It's a regular spreadsheet. This is a PDF. It looks a little bit different, but it is a regular spreadsheet with tabs, and you can tab between the different worksheets. So it has a cover, and then it has the content pillars behind. Now, everything I'm going to show you, I have done using AI, and it has saved me hours and hours of time. And I'm going to be encouraging you to use AI when you do your race day. So here we are. We're now looking at the sheet that is the first content pillar. And this content pillar is services. Okay. Now, from webinar 1, I said, let's imagine that the services that you offer are consultancy by the hour, blocks of time, so maybe 10 hours sold as a block, and then full service design. And we talked about the various lenses that we could view these 3 different types of service through to show them most clearly and most compellingly to the world. And the kind of lenses that we spoke about were an overview. So an overview of each of those different services, or the situations for which this particular service would be best suited, would be perfect, or testimonials from clients who use this particular service, or the process of this particular service, how it works, the outcomes from this service, or even the cost of this service. Okay, so those are the lenses, and across the top we have the services. Now, I have used AI to write a demonstration post for each of these intersections. So consultancy by the hour, an overview, selling blocks of time, an overview, full service design, an overview. And then I've also asked the AI to produce hashtags that would go with that post. So for every post, there's a suite of hashtags. And that is for all of these intersections. I've got all of these posts. Now, you're going to want to change them. These might not be your services. You'd certainly want to rewrite them in your own voice. But this is how we can strategically batch make social media posts that ensure that our message gets to the world and that we have said everything we want to say about what we do to make sure that the world is getting the right message. So that is tab number 1, which is services. Okay. You don't need to read all of this just now, because I am putting this whole thing up and you'll have the spreadsheet so you can work with it yourself. I now want to look at tab number 2. And tab number 2 is personal branding. It's about you. I think that this is paramount. This is so important. And I would encourage you, if you don't have it already, that in this first month, you create an About Me post, and that gets pinned to your grid so that it sits there, so that it's like your profile, your Instagram account is like a magazine that you're writing for interested parties. It's like you're producing your own magazine and you're hoping to attract people to come and read it. So the very first thing that I've put on Content Pillar 2 tab is guidance on how to write an About Me post. Okay, so I haven't written it for you. I think there is actually an example one at the bottom, but I've given you guidance here on how to write it so that it doesn't sound cheesy and it doesn't sound braggy, but it's got some content and it sounds interesting. So that's the very first one. But then if you scroll down, still under the About Me, again, we've got the same heading, well, the same types of headings, and then the different lenses down the side. So when you're speaking about yourself, you could talk about what you stand for. You could talk about what's behind the brand. You could talk about what my clients say about me, or my signature style, or a day in the life of. So those are our headings. And then down the side, under each heading, I have got an example post. So again, you could be customizing this for your purposes. So these are the kinds of posts you could be using to inspire what you write for your social media post. Then still under About Me, I've got design philosophy. What is your design philosophy? Now, when I was practicing, as an interior designer, my design philosophy was that I believed I had a vacancy in my life for a dining table. I had a vacancy for 8 dining chairs. I had a vacancy for a sofa. And once each of those vacancies were filled, it was a job for life. And so, the dining table has to be the highest quality. It needs to be utterly timeless, because once I've bought it, I'm never buying another dining table again. And then we move on. And the idea is that when you get to the end of it all, you have got the perfect scene, the perfect theatre in which to live your life. You get on with your life and your home is just fantastic and it stays fantastic and you never need to think about it again. So that was my design philosophy. So, you can think about what your design philosophy is. So perhaps it's buy once, buy well, or every home should tell a story, or form and function in perfect balance, or design as a collaboration with other makers and creators, or spaces that shape well-being. And again, with AI, I've produced potential posts that you could use under each of these different headings. So that is, and we've got all the hashtags too. So all the hashtags are there as well. So this is the spreadsheet. This is the cover page, which is the planner. And then we've got content pillar 1, content pillar 2, content pillar 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to stop sharing this. And, I shouldn't have done that. I should just have gone to the different tab. And we're back in the presentation. Sorry, that looks like it's jammed. Just bear with me. Okay, so we're back in the presentation. So spreadsheet on the right, cover sheet on the left. Cover sheet tells us on Wednesday, the 2nd of April, we're going to post content pillar 1. We go to content pillar 1, we find it, we use that, and that is our post. Then the next time content pillar 1 comes up in this planner, I'm sorry, I can't see, but you can see it on the calendar on the left. We can use the next post, and so on and so on. So we can just work our way through these posts, putting them in our own words and getting them up, getting them out, or using AI exactly as I have done to write your own stuff. So that is, but we are being strategic. We're deciding what to post in order to maximize our business success. We're not panicking on a Monday, thinking, oh my God, I haven't posted for 5 days. I need to get something up. What am I going to put up? And then just putting something inane. So we're going to try to avoid that. So this is the spreadsheet. It covers the planner and content pillars 1 and 2. I'm in Hothouse. If you need any help at all, figuring out how to populate content pillars 3, 4, and 5, I recommend using AI to do it, and I can tell you how to do it. It's very simple, but it would be based on the kind of prompts that you've seen me put together here, but that's for further discussion. Now, I use AI all the time. It has made such a difference to my business. I mentioned to you in webinar 1 that actually I was going to do a workshop on it, and I've changed the date of that. So if anybody was thinking about that, I just wanted to make it clear that actually I'm putting that after bootcamp as well, just to make sure that I get bootcamp firmly in my sights and I'm not worrying too much about the other things I'm going to be delivering. So, but I will be running a 1-day on how you can use AI within your interior design business across multiple fronts, if anybody wants to delve a bit more deeply into that. But as I said last time, we are going to use AI all the time on Bootcamp. So if you're in Bootcamp, you don't need to do the AI workshop because you are going to be immersed in it. Okay, so getting back to today's agenda, I want to talk to you. Sorry, time check. I want to talk to you about assets and pre-made materials. So I spoke to you in webinar 1 about what font do you want to use, what colors do you want to use, and what graphics do you want to use. So that was webinar 1. Logo and tone is important, but we can work that up over time. But fonts, colors, and graphics, really key. And I think I mentioned some designers who I really admire, but certainly Polly Wilkinson is one. She's a garden designer. Now, we are designers, and our grids should look special. You know, they should look like someone with great taste and a really good eye is in charge of this thing. So they need to look good. Now, Polly Wilkinson, I think, does the most fantastic job. She's visible. She is there, face to camera all the time. She's always in there. She is the superstar designer at the front of her business. When she puts up reels, I'm going to talk to you about this in a minute. Reels can look a bit scruffy. So she puts covers on her reels. And that's what you see here with these, looks like book covers on them. The other thing about putting covers on reels is A, it tidies things up, but B, I said that your account should look like a lovely magazine. And this is like the index page at the front of the magazine that says, oh, look, here's an article on this, here's an article on that. And once you've reeled these people in and they arrive, they should get stuck. You know, you're like a Venus flytrap. You're sucking these people in. Once they get in, they don't want to go. So they can see what each of these reels is about, and they think, oh, I'd like to read that, and they dip in and out. So that's why we should never put other people's work up in our feeds, because all you're doing is redirecting traffic. It's coming to you, and then you're sending it off to someone else. So that is something that we don't do. Okay, someone else I wanted to talk about. This is Miller from Pink Storm Social, and she's a social marketing expert. She talks about Instagram and Reels and all that good stuff. And again, you can see covers on her Reels and really, really sort of grabbing headlines on the front that make you want to see what's behind the cover. So if you land on her account, you get stuck there for ages. You fall down one of these rabbit holes. So I want to talk to you about covers, and I want to talk to you about what you need to prepare in advance to make sure that your page looks neat and tidy, looks like a designer. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is aspect ratio. Now, I'm on Pink Storm Socials. Here you can see I'm looking at her posts. I'm not on her reels. I'm on her posts, which is her front page. This is the main page of her account. On the main page, the aspect ratio, so the proportions of the rectangles are 5:4. So that means that the height is 5 units and the width is 4 units. That is the aspect ratio of a post. And we use these for posts. We use them for carousels, which is when we've got like a slideshow. And we use them for covers for posts. So aspect ratio 5:4 is the front grid. Now, if I go to her Reels grid, I'm on her Reels. This is all of mostly video, going to be mostly video. The aspect ratio has changed. So now with Reels, they're actually shaped to fit your telephone screen, your phone screen, and the aspect ratio is 9:16. So they're much taller and thinner. So this is the aspect ratio that we want for Reels and cover for Reels. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is I keep 2 keynote presentations, could be PowerPoint. You could do this in Canva, you could do this in Photoshop or InDesign, or you can actually do it quite simply within Instagram. But what I have is I have 2 presentations, just bog standard. One of them is at aspect ratio 5:4, and I have made a load of slides. It's just a slideshow. I have all my brand colors, and I have got text, already the right fonts and the right sizes on top of these blocks. And I use these to make covers. I use it to make carousels. So whenever I'm producing on my grid something that looks like a nice slideshow to look at, it has started out as a keynote or a PowerPoint slide. I then export them to images and pop them up onto Instagram. So I've got all of this just sitting in, let's call it a PowerPoint presentation, and that's where my grid materials come from. I have a second one, aspect ratio 9:16, and I use those for reel covers. So when I make a reel, if it looks a bit messy, because they often do, because they're video, and so they'll just start where they start. And quite often, if it's face to camera, they start with you sort of grimacing or looking terrible, and you want to put something over that so that your grid doesn't look like it's just, you goofing around. So these are how I make the covers to go onto my reels. Now, there are other ways of doing this, and we can talk about how to do this if you like in Hothouse. Any questions that you have today. The other thing I wanted to talk to you, I'm going to come back to reels. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about today was B-roll. Now, B-roll is incidental video that just creates a bit of a mood, but it doesn't have any narrative purpose. It's filler video. And I try to shoot filler video whenever I see, I don't know, grasses waving in the wind or a lovely sunset or something related even to work. I will try and video it and just keep a little clip of it, because that can become a reel. A reel could be just a little piece of B-roll video with some content, some text over the top, and that can become a reel. I'm going to talk to you about reels in a second. So B-roll, I put this reel up on my Instagram today, which is at Recipe for a Room. And if you look at that, you'll see this reel which is all about B-roll. And you'll just see I've just spliced together a selection of different B-roll video that I have taken over time just to let you see the kinds of things that I'm collecting. And I have to just throw up quickly as a reel if I want to. So posts. Posts could be a single image plus a caption plus hashtags. Now, I use AI to write all of this stuff. And we can talk about how you do that, but it's really very straightforward. But so you have a picture, it might be a picture of some work that you've done or presentation that you're putting together or a showroom that you've visited, or even of your local area or whatever your content pillar is. You'll have a caption to go with it, and then you'll have hashtags that are designed in order to sort of get that out to the maximum number of people. A carousel is like a slideshow. It could be a carousel of images, or it could be a carousel like a slideshow of text messages that tell a story. And again, it would have a caption and it would have hashtags. This all comes from that PowerPoint/keynote presentation that I have that just have the slides ready-made in my brand colors with my brand font already slapped on top. So whenever I have the inspiration, I can go to that presentation, I can type it up really quickly, export it as images, and turn it into a carousel on Instagram. And then Reels. Now, Reels are very special. Reels get shown more widely. They're either video or maybe they have trending music on them. And because Instagram wants more of this moving content, it puts it onto the Instagram Explore page. So if a reel of yours goes well, if people watch it and engage with it, there's a chance that it could end up being shown to more people. So reels tend to get shown to a broader range of people beyond your normal followers. So if you're looking to expand your awareness of your brand, then reels are supercharged for this. Now, there are tricks with reels. For example, if you take a short piece of video, so let's say 5 seconds of video, and you put a big, long, typed story on top of it, and someone starts reading that story, it takes them longer to read the story than the 5 seconds of video. And that gets registered as being somebody watched the whole video. So that video was so good that someone watched the whole video. Let's show it to more people. So there are all kinds of tricks that you can get into with Reels. So Reels are definitely worth engaging with. And I have to say, my own experience, my face to camera Reels, I don't think they're great, but my goodness, they go much further, much faster, much better than anything else I do. And there are designers like Kate Finch, who I talk about all the time, who does nothing but face-to-camera reels. So I really recommend you look at that. Now, I have 2 recommendations for you here. The first one is that Miller, who runs Pink Storm Social, who I don't know and I'm not affiliated with, but I have been to one of these and it was brilliant, is about to do a 90-minute workshop on Reels. It's running on the 25th of March. It's at 2:30 p.m. If you sign up for it, you can also watch the recording if you can't attend the actual thing. So if you're interested in knowing much, much more about Reels, then I really recommend that. I think that's money well invested. The other thing that I want to say is I've got this amazing gadget. Oh my God, I've got it right here. Here it is. Really, this thing is incredible. It cost me 25 quid, and it's how I use it now to make all my video. Face to camera, B-roll, you name it. This thing is super. And it folds down into just like a little baton. And you can take it anywhere and it weighs nothing and it's just super. So I really recommend if you want to invest in kit, that thing rocks. Okay, so we're going to get there. Scheduling and execution. Okay, so there are different levels of difficulty that you might want to engage with when it comes to scheduling. If you want to keep it simple, you can schedule your posts and your reels within Instagram. So you need to have a business account to be able to do this. But all you do is you create your post or your reel like you normally would, but just before you go to share it, you go to more options, which is I think you have to scroll down a bit to find it, but you find more options and you toggle on schedule this post. You can then pick a date and a time at which you are going to, Instagram will automatically release your post. You tap done, and basically that's it. That post is now tucked away, and at the time that you've selected, it will go public. So you can make your post and schedule it, make your post and schedule it, and so on. That is probably the most straightforward way to do this. I'm going to start using Planoly for when race day comes for me. I haven't used it before, and I would say it's not something to get engaged with if other aspects of this are also new to you. So if there are things that you're already thinking, oh, that looks a bit of a challenge, I wouldn't layer this on top of it at this stage. But if you're up for it, then this costs money. You have to pay for Planoly. But what it means is I could upload one picture and I could say, send it to TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, not Twitter, Threads or whatever. And you can then adjust it slightly for each of those different platforms. But you could basically do one piece of work and fire it off in 5 or 6 different directions. So I'm going to try Planoly. I'm not recommending it because I haven't used it before, but I know other people who do use it and they say it's good. So if anyone wants to join me on that, but that will cost you money. Okay, so this is going to be fun. This is going to be so much fun. We are going to get ahead. We are going to be strategic. If we do this regularly, our businesses will grow. This is all going to be really good. But the first time out, it's untested. It could be a bit chaotic. So I suggest you don't be ambitious. Just test the waters, have a go at the level that feels comfortable, decide to do it really well, have fun doing it, and I promise you next month it'll be even better. Okay, so we'll do it together, we'll all get better. In a few months' time, we'll look back and discover that we've been posting X times per week and that things have changed in our business because of that. But just cut me a bit of slack first time out because I've never done it before and God knows how this is going to work out. But I feel really, really excited about it. Now, so I want you to think about the time that we have. Hang on, I'm going to have to move myself. I can't see this. 2 posts per week would be 9 posts per month. Race day, if you don't go to the loo and you don't have any lunch, is 5 hours. That gives you 33 minutes per post. If you went for 3 posts a week, that would be 13 posts a month. That would give you 23 minutes per post. Now you can see, I want us to be realistic, okay? You're probably better going for 2 posts a week in the first instance. I think we will all get to that 3 posts a week or maybe even more, but to enjoy it and not to be burned the first time out, let's keep our ambitions, let's keep our sense of humor, and let's keep our ambitions sort of, realistic. So also filing. Okay, so I have got a race day folder. In my race day folder, I have assets. So I have a folder called assets. In my assets folder, I have the covers for my reels, I have the covers for my posts, that kind of stuff. Then I have a folder called Planner, which is just where I put my planning stuff. I have a folder called B-roll, which is where I tuck all these odds and sods of video. And then I have a folder called Content Pillars. And in my content pillars, I have a folder for each of my content pillars. And then from each of those folders, I have all the materials relating to each of the content pillars. So that is how I propose to file my stuff so that I can continually find it going forward. We're nearly at the end. So, social media marketing, we are going to post consistently and regularly. And we are going to post strategically. So we're not going to panic and just fling up whatever we can in the moment. We're actually going to have method in our madness and make sure that, you know, the stuff we need to sell is actually being promoted to the people who are most likely to buy it. So we're going to be strategic. We are going to batch create our posts once a month. I'm personally going to probably hold back one a week that I will do live because I really like that buzz and I like the immediacy. So I will intentionally continue to do some live stuff. But oh my goodness, how I will enjoy it when I know I only need to do one thing a week. That's going to be amazing. Now, getting organized is going to be so much work. And I can imagine you're sitting there saying, hang on a minute, she told me it was going to take 5 hours, and she's just given me 3 weeks of work to do. But the point is that all of this prep stuff, once it's done, and you just get to use it forever. Okay, so, and we're training ourselves. So, yes, it's a lot of work up front. If this first occasion is too soon to get all of this work done, join us on the second occasion or just have a go with a little bit of it, you know? And I'm sorry that it's so much work up front, but the point is, in a couple of months' time, we'll all feel really smug because we will be ahead of the game. I have really lightly touched on personal branding. It's number one as far as I'm concerned. For those of you in boot camp, we are going to talk about it a lot. We're going to work on it. And I'm planning to do much more stuff on personal branding because I think it's so important. But for this race day, let's just get the basics, you know, sorted. And then we'll start thinking about layering on additional degrees of complexity for future events. So we'll get our foundations in place and then we'll think about getting cleverer. And if you have any questions at all, you can post them in Hothouse as posts, and I promise I will be looking there all the time. And if you post it in public in Hothouse, I will jump on it and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So I will keep my eye on that. So race day, I need you to turn up ready because we're not going to be making stuff. You're going to be making your posts, but we can't be making the preparation stuff during race day. This is like you do your training in advance and we turn up to race day, and on race day we race. So decide in advance which posts you're going to create, plan your dates, how often you're going to post, you know, daily, weekly, whatever. Structure your month, make sure that your service-based posts are, you know, nicely in there. We want to grow our businesses. Make sure that you're getting in some personal branding content, and then think about other things, behind the scenes updates, design philosophy insights, engaging in interactive posts. I'm terrible at interactive posts. I need to focus on that. And get your covers, your fonts, your colors, your B-rolls, your photographs, get them all sorted in advance so that on the day, it's like prepping to cook. You know, we're getting all of our shopping in, we're getting some of our vegetables prepped so that on the day when we come to cook, it's all going to be there, you know, ready for us to do it. So everyone's welcome. It's free. The link to join is going to be in Hothouse under events. You need to turn up ready. and you need to turn up with a good attitude because it's experimental, and it's going to be great fun, but there may be some hitches on the very first time out. It's going to be on Thursday, the 27th of March, and it's going to start at 9:30, and we will be finished by 3. Do we have any questions? Siobhan?
Hiya, sorry, me as always. Right, I have several questions, but I'll start at one. If anybody else has a question, then I'll let them have a turn and then come back to me. So, what do you mean by interactive posts? What are those?
Okay, so poll, poll post, or
Okay.
or even just asking a question, is this fair? Do you agree with this? Tell me what you think about that. Can you recommend it? Whatever. Something that gets, and when you're scrolling and looking at other people's accounts, look for the things that people really bite at. So
Mhm.
look at what's been successful in other people's accounts and think about how you could turn that around within your account.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Um, I did actually. I just wanted, when you say that you file everything, do you do it on your computer? So you just got folders within that, and then you put your images or your videos within the folders within.
Well, that's a really good question, Timna, because actually you could do a lot of that on your phone. So you could, within your Photos app, you could have folders in your Photos app, and you could actually be doing everything direct from your phone, which is the most efficient way of doing it. So you could
Yes.
think
And
about
you're not
setting up.
using up space on your computer
Yeah.
hard drive as well.
Yeah. So
Good
either
point.
either would be fine. I think part of the process is going to be for each one of us figuring out what is the best um, workflow for each one of us. And that's going to be different for everybody because I know different software from you and you have different ways of working from me. So to some extent, we need to work this out for ourselves. I'm going to have a lot of it on my laptop, but I'm also going to have some of it on my phone.
Yeah, I think I love a folder. I love a filing system. I love a folder, and I worry that I duplicate images for one thing for one purpose and then for another. And I think I'm concerned or aware that I might, if we're doing this to such a degree, that I might start using up sort of valuable space on there.
Maybe see how the first one goes and see if
Mm,
that feels comfortable because you can shift stuff that won't be a massive amount of stuff to shift around if you
yeah,
need to. Yeah.
thank you.
Caroline, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wondered, you talked about the aspect ratio with Instagram. I wondered if anybody who posts currently on Instagram and LinkedIn, how that translates. Kind of, is what you do for Instagram okay for Facebook and LinkedIn, or do you have to adjust? That might be a question for Sonia.
Good question.
That's a good question. I do actually adjust for LinkedIn, actually. I might be a little bit more chatty on Instagram, and maybe a little bit more formal on LinkedIn. And also when I tag companies, so for example, I've just done one about London Design Week. No, I can't find all of the companies, so I can't tag them all. And also cut down on the number of hashtags that I use on LinkedIn as well. They don't like as many as they do on Instagram. So yeah, I just tweak according to how I feel it will be better received on LinkedIn.
Do you have to change the aspects, Sonia?
No, I mean I always go in and make sure that the photos are at the maximum size. Depending on how I've taken it, whether I've taken the photograph, landscape or portrait. So I will always make sure that it's maximum size so you don't get like a black border around it. But that's about it, really. Yeah.
Siobhan, yes.
Sonia, you just mentioned that the LinkedIn has a maximum number of hashtags and prefers fewer hashtags than Instagram. I've been out of the social media game for a couple of years, so Instagram used to like 30 hashtags. Is that still a fact? And I have no idea how many hashtags we should be planning on for LinkedIn. And
I must admit, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that sort of thing. If you look on Mila, Pink Storm Social, she might be able to tell you. But I think on LinkedIn, it's something like 5. You don't want to overdo it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, the Mila's Pink Storm one is the one that I was saying she's doing the workshop on on the 20, was it the 25th? I think it was the 25th. But I have recently read that Instagram too likes fewer hashtags these days. So they're talking about 5 really well chosen hashtags. But I would defer to someone like Miller on that kind of information.
One thing I do is on both is basically do a tagline at the top. So that's going to attract somebody's attention. And I now put like stars around it as well. And then I break it down, all the paragraphs, I break them down so they're easier to read. If you just have one big block of text, then people don't tend to read it as much. But if it's in smaller bite size, then they probably will.
What
Can
about
I
the
just
sorry.
ask Caroline? Oh, sorry. Why did you ask Sonia? Sonia, how are you the oracle of these things now?
No, by no means, but I do quite a lot on LinkedIn these days, that's all.
Oh, okay. Brilliant. I might
Sonia,
have to bend your ear about it a little
I
while.
think
Yeah.
you're being very modest, Sonia. You're doing really well on LinkedIn.
Oh, thank you.
Kerry, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask regarding the covers. How do people make their covers? Because obviously I've got quite a bit of work to do between now and next week, and I want to come prepared. Because I feel like, as you say, once you get everything organized, it's great and you're ready to go. And I'm having some photography done before then, which will help me, sort of doing the branding, pillars, and different things like that. But with the actual covers, do people use Canva or PowerPoint, or can I get some?
Canva has preset templates, so you can literally type in Instagram post or Instagram reel or Instagram whatever, and it'll bring up a preset size. You just choose the color of the background, which matches your branding color, and insert text, and away you go. It takes seconds,
So is that on
and it's free.
Canva?
Canva, yeah, it's free as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I've got an account with them. Brilliant. So I'll have a look at that. Are the colors specific though? Because what I don't want to do is go down a route where it looks very much that I just pulled it off Canva. Do you know what I mean? Because you want to have some level of individuality as well. So that's what worries me about that.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So I'm just saying, if you want like a specific color or you want to sort of be more standout-ish.
No, you can choose any color under the sun. A hex reference, a rel reference, the color of Rihanna's boots, whatever you want.
Okay, brilliant. Okay.
The other thing you can do is you can go to create a story on Instagram. So you can go create story, pick a picture, you can put a caption like you're creating a story, and then you can just download that, you can save it, and that can become a cover for a reel. So you can actually make your covers within Instagram if you don't mind using the Instagram fonts on top of, and they can look perfectly smart. So that can just help tidy up the fronts of those reels as well if you don't want to go to so much work.
And then another thing I was going to ask as well, because I haven't looked, it was on my to-do list to look at other designers that I feel like I'm aligned with. There's sort of 2 people that I really like, and I like their styles quite similar to mine. But what I was going to say was, when you put an image up of something that you've done, would you put a cover on that as well of work?
Not if it looks nice, no. Unless the reasons for putting covers on are to tidy it up because it looks a bit messy, or to put up to put a title on it to attract people to click on it to read more about it. So those would be 2 key reasons for doing it.
Okay. And then, sorry, another question, but we talked about the Color Chronicles before. So as an example, if I was going to use that as one of my pillars, so I'd want to showcase the color techniques or the things that I'm talking about within a carousel as an example with a title page. But obviously I might not have images of all the things that I'm trying to showcase. So then if I'm using other images from, say, just as an example, house and garden or something like that, you've now said don't do that.
I think if you're starting out, Kerry, you can do that, but just be aware that you should always give credit if you're using somebody else's images. So you need to say ideally who the photographer was, as well as the publication. And by all means, when you're starting out, you just don't have access to the same content that people who've been practicing for longer will have. So have a go using that other content, and learn through using it until such time as you have your own materials. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I will take one more question if anybody else has one, but we're already at an hour, and I didn't. Is there, Siobhan, I am going to come to you. Is there anybody else who has a question that they really want to ask? No. Okay, Siobhan, final question.
What about the time of day per post or per reel? How do we know what time it is?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would. It's different for different people. Does anyone have any experience of that? I mean, I really like Saturday
Yes.
mornings work for me. Is that
Sorry, it's Rachel.
Rachel? Carry on, Rachel. Tell us.
Yeah, actually, if you go, there's two ways of doing it. If you've got the Meta Business Suite, which you can download on your mobile or by PC, so too, you can actually schedule your post that way. The only thing to be aware of is if you do it on your PC, it sometimes to actually download Reels takes ages and your PC will just get stuck. So it might be easier to do it on the mobile, Meta Mobile, to do it that way. But you can schedule either PC or your phone. The other thing to point out though is that you can do both. So for Instagram and Facebook, you can actually post the same, so that it will do both for you but that will be at the same time. The only thing it won't do though is if it's a reel, I don't believe it will allow you to schedule both in at the same time. But to get around that, you could either sort of literally just set it at 2 different times. Do you know what I mean? So do it once, then just copy it to do it Facebook. To talk about the best times to do it, if you've got over 100 followers, you'll have far more insight. And if you're on your mobile, if you press on the actual, your profile, if you look at Instagram profile, there's a little dashboard, and you go to your actual Instagram bit, you'll see that there's a professional dashboard bit. If you click onto that, and then you go on to, I'm just going to look now before I say this to you. Then if you click on to followers, if you click onto followers, then scroll down on that, you'll get a nice little bar chart that says most active times. Yeah, perfect. So if you click, like today's Tuesday, if you just press the Tuesday though, so literally press the Tuesday, you will see it has slightly changed from each day, but that tells you which part of the day your viewers are actually looking on Instagram. So they always say, so for instance, for me, my highest always seems to be, if I'm honest, is between 6 and 9 at night.
Okay.
So what they say you should do is post about half an hour before your peak time is a tip. As I said, I'm still analysing that. So
that is brilliant. Thank you so much, Rachel.
No problem.
Helpful. Okay, well, we've been an hour and 4 minutes, so not too bad. I'm going to put this recording onto YouTube, and I will put a link in Hothouse. I'm going to put the spreadsheet into Hothouse. I want to tidy it up a bit, and I'm also going to put it into Excel as well as Numbers, so that you can choose which one you want. And so give me tomorrow to get that up into Hothouse to make sure that it's all in good order. I really hope that you are carried away with the opportunity that this represents and how much fun it's going to be, and not too overwhelmed by the amount of work that it looks like it's actually going to take. Because once we get going, I think it's going to really be efficient. But I'm afraid there is a bit of a work lag between there and now. And just don't feel too precious about it, because we're going to learn so much from doing this. You know, we're going to be gurus down the line. Okay, wonderful. So nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Julia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.